Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 336 of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Terminator Genisys. Genisys?
Genisys.
It's spelled weird, Mark. I don't know what to do with it.
I can't tell you how much that fucking bothers me.
I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, a little bit of a light crew, sans our impersonation artist. First up, he builds websites. He could have already created the thing that turns into Skynet, which is why he needs to be destroyed. His name is Mark.
I mean, I probably already did it by accident.
You probably already done it in an alternate timeline and had no idea.
Yeah.
You are probably a black guy with a family in a cool house.
They get you in with unlimited vacation, and then you find out years later they made Skynet.
Well, I don't know. These Skynet guys give me unlimited flex days, so I like that.
They let me play ping pong.
Next up on the show, he fixes computers for a living, so he also could be involved in Skynet, come to think of it. His name is Casey.
I am the Skynet.
Yeah.
Casey will be our go-to for the science of whether or not you can stop Skynet by just blowing up one data center.
Yeah, right.
Because nobody believes in backups.
Listen, if you followed the backup strategy at the place that I work, it would have worked. Last up on the show, the theme tonight, since he does work for the world's largest and most evil search engine, he probably is involved in Skynet too. And you look like Skynet, Schnars, now that I think about it.
Ooh.
Skynet, the person, does have a bit of a gaunt Scandinavian thing about him.
Skynet personified.
Yeah. His name is John Schnars.
Yeah, hello.
Or John Schnaps, if you're one of our listeners who had the best misspelling ever.
Yeah.
Jonathan T. Schnaps.
We guys, we have the OG crew here. I mean,
I know.
It's a light crew.
We've been trying to get rid of Joe forever. And just
it's been 200 episodes.
I'm having this strange urge to say something embarrassing about being in college. That's kind of what this
No, I'll be honest. I really miss Joe when he's not on the show, and I fear that we're too dry. But so I'm going to expect at least one of you to get blackout drunk and make up for that tonight.
I'm already half drunk and not at all dry. So.
Perfect.
Here, I'll just throw out, get to the chopper. That's the best I got.
Maggie.
I didn't listen last week. How were?
Oh, you should.
Oh my God, dude.
Was Joe's impression game on fleek?
Joe was pretty on point. Yeah, he was pretty on point.
At the suggesting of someone now, maybe Casey.
It was me.
He sung Maggie, the song in the
jeez.
voice of Arnold.
Man.
But
Midwestern
it was
Arnold.
Midwestern Arnold. Yeah, so that was.
I saw Joe and his wife and lovely daughter this past weekend. We went to brunch because that's a thing that adults do.
Nice.
I saw.
You know what? It's not really a thing adults do so much as a thing like hungover 20-somethings do.
Sure.
Yeah. In cities, anyway, that's who
Or
does that.
people that like to drink during the day, which
Right.
Joe definitely does. Joe
Right.
fits into that category more so than any.
Well, and when you have a child, I mean, Joe's daughter is much older than mine, but you can't, like, I wouldn't even consider going to brunch because it's like that's either nap time or some other time.
Going
The
out to
last
a
thing I
restaurant
wanna do
is basically you're like Vietnam.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, no, we can go for breakfast. It's funny because if it's like
trench
breakfast
warfare.
time, well, if you put food in front of him, he'll eat. Like he'll sit there and eat, and you can then eat in peace. But if you are trying to do something else, God help you. I mean,
What does baby
played-
Schnaps's diet consist of? I'm thinking like crepes and like smoked salmon,
well, the fun. I mean,
Charcuterie.
like a bung and a blintz.
Caviar.
sure. I wish we could do charcuterie. He will eat pretty much anything.
I bet you
He'll
do.
try anything you put in front of him. He might not actually eat it. He will spit a lot of stuff out.
Yeah. Gross.
You haven't lived until you've heard Joe sternly talk to his almost 4-year-old daughter.
How hard was it not to hysterically laugh?
It's a very different Joe than you're used to. I like had to look away. 'Cause I
Stop
knew
it.
if I
Stop it.
I knew if I looked directly at. Well, the other thing is like when a kid's acting like a shithead, you're not supposed to laugh at it as the person who's not their parent because you're not supposed to encourage
Right.
it. But man, she is fucking funny. She's super well behaved.
She is adorable.
And out of her goddamn mind, but she is so funny. And she definitely did something that I knew Joe was gonna get mad at her for, and I was trying hard like not to laugh. Yeah, we went to Revolution Brewing, which is a little Chicago brewery that just happens to be right down the street from me, and it's fucking awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mandates.
Man, Joe and I go on. We don't get to do them as often as we like, but when we do them up.
John, speaking of mandates, I have mandated that you sell more things.
Well, the business is always bustling here at Bloody Good Heart.
That was a segue and a portmanteau. Just want you to know that.
Oh my God, so good.
It was several things in one.
Carry on, fine sir.
So yeah, we as a lot, hopefully a lot of listeners know, it's been like a year and a half now. We designed our own T-shirt. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to encourage you to just turn this off immediately. Go to our website, bloodygoodheart.com. Click on the link for the T-shirt store, which you will see very prominently displayed at the top. But to Eric's point, we're not just selling one T-shirt anymore. We're actually working with TeePublic, which is the site that we listed our design through. They reached out to us. They were like, hey, you know, people have been buying your T-shirt.
They were like, hey, I like your steez. How could I cop some of that?
I mean, it's not the first time someone's talked about my steez.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so they basically they gave us the ability to basically create a store with other designs that we can curate from across all the designs in their store. And the cool thing is there are actually some pretty awesome designs.
Is Titty Bats on there?
Oh.
Because otherwise, I don't know if I'm interested.
I'm pretty sure Titty Bats is not safe for TeePublic.
I mean, I don't know, Mark. I think we might.
That guy's Instagram. That guy's Instagram is like a fever dream.
I will tell you, my Titty Bats shirt is the most comfortable T-shirt that I own.
Oh, all right.
No fooling.
I actually thought the BGH shirt from TeePublic turned out to be pretty comfortable. What's nice is
how do you get there?
Yeah, so you get there. You can just go to our website, bang it on the link right there at the top that you will see.
Is there what is the link? Is it like in the toolbar?
Yeah, it's in the
it says
toolbar.
That's what she
T-shirt
said.
store. You can't miss it.
Love it.
Yeah. So if you hit that link, you will see some hand-curated designs picked out by the crew here. There's some relevant designs for recent films we've watched, including Terminator. And then there are designs that just fit themes that we here at the show love. I don't want to spoil any of them. I think they're actually pretty sweet. So I encourage you to go check them out. Our design is also there, and you should probably check that out too. I was also going to make a shout out.
Shirt is hella sweet.
No, it's great, and people have continued to buy it. So thank you if you have bought a shirt. It actually really helps us. We don't talk about it a lot, but you know we get a nice kickback from the TeePublic people, and
I wouldn't know. I don't see any of that.
No, yeah, it goes directly into James's college fund.
Right, it buys smoked fish for your boy.
Yeah,
Who do you think paid for brunch?
Yeah, and if you're buying another design through our store, we get a nice, they help support the show. It's not as nice as buying our shirt, but and I was gonna say for the summer, what's nice is TeePublic also has a tank top design. So you can go ahead and any design on their store, you can get.
Are
in
you
tank
fucking
top.
kidding me?
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Oh, you
That
sure
is-
can.
Our shirt would look pretty
Incredible.
sick as a tank top.
Yeah, that's gonna
No,
look
I mean-
awesome with my fur rug on the back.
Yeah, so check it out. We will be featuring some designs on the website. We'll probably be featuring some designs on the old Twitter and Instagram and so on and so forth. So keep your eyes out for that.
Great. That's just great. Casey,
Yes.
quickly tell me, what is Cece's Book Club? Where can people find it? How do they get involved? Etc.
Cece's Book Club is a monthly venture on our subreddit. You can find it at reddit.com/r/BGH. We have the links out there on the site as well. Every month, the readers and the people participating vote on a new book, and then they read it, and they they go through and discuss it in chunks. She breaks it down so it's manageable and everything. So it's pretty handy for you guys out there. And if you feel like you've missed the boat, got started too late, fear not. You can jump in anytime you want because Cece is quite friendly like that.
Okay, do we know what the current book is? Or the next book?
I do not know what it was. I thought you guys were reading it.
No, it's called, I believe it's called Within These Walls. And I should have looked up the author. I'm going to read it right now. But it is called Within These Walls. It's a cult ditty. It's, there's some occultish elements. So yeah, here it is. Yeah. Within These Walls by Anya Alborn.
Yes, that's
there
right.
You go.
And I believe Cece's going to be having a chat with Anya Alborn here soon too. So
awesome. That is reddit.com/r/BGH.
Yes, and one more thing, since we're firing on all cylinders here, we're recording this on Tuesday, which means it is Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street off day of Bloody Good Horror. Evan and Sophie for the past month have been exchanging back and forth reviews to the adjacent films in Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street series, and we post those every Tuesday. So that's at bloodygoodhorror.com. And also we have 2 new writers, Colin and Chris. So you'll be seeing some posts from them, probably some trailers and some lists and things of the sort at bloodygoodhorror.com.
Sweet. Love it. I love all that.
Yeah.
John.
So much stuff going on.
John, I have read 400 pages of the first Game of Thrones book.
Oh my God.
Aren't you proud of me? In like 3 weeks.
Shame.
I just get nervous.
I ordered the rest of them on paperback today in the little box set there, so I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
I'm going
deep.
Going balls deep.
We can
just think you might finish up before January.
I'll be honest, the first book, like, it's not what I'm there for, but I need to get through it because the first book is so like shot for shot the first season.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in getting to the later ones and seeing like how things were kind of it seems like you can tell where stuff was omitted or kind of like skirted around in those later seasons.
There's some pretty big stuff.
I like getting all of the like obscure factoids about all the families and all that shit. So I'm looking forward to some of that.
Well, you'll love. So like, it's probably, I guess, in the third book, you really get into the Ironborn background, which is what
nice, which they totally ignore in the
show. And that's my number one complaint with the show.
Do we ever go to Flea Bottom?
Yes.
Because if I make it through the entirety of Game of Thrones show or books and we never go to Flea Bottom, then what is this all for?
Well, there's a character in the first book who's a bastard son of Robert Baratheon that like lives in Flea Bottom.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
And so does the Stannis's guy there, Davos.
Guys, I love Game of Thrones. This is the nerdiest we have ever had.
I'm just really excited, Eric.
I'm reading a book, you guys. Come on.
Shame. Ding.
So good. All right, guys, it's time. Let's talk about Terminator Genisys.
You don't say affirmative or some shit like that. You say no problemo. And if someone comes off to you with an attitude, you say eat me. And if you want to shine them on, it's hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hey guys, this is Danielle Harris. You might know me from some of the Halloween movies, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Fuck the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
We're back here on the show. John.
Ow.
Duke University.
Home of national championship basketball team. Yeah. What of it?
What was your degree again? It was like literature or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You probably read a lot of books for that.
Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to read more than I actually did read, but yeah, I read a few.
Yeah. I bet you read
Cliff
more than I did.
notes. You cliff noted it.
Right.
They did not have cliff notes for many of the books that I supposed
I skirted through college like at a perfect time where like teachers were aware of the internet and what you could do with it, but they weren't totally keen on like figuring it out. Let's say that in a broad sense.
It was basically like I think
like there weren't sites you can go to like you can go to now and just plug in like a paragraph of paper and have it tell you if it's plagiarized.
That's
like,
exactly what I was gonna say. Is like they didn't have those programs yet. It might have been our senior year that they were, because I think we were the same year. They like basically started coming out.
I didn't plagiarize so much as like made up sources. Let's say.
Yeah.
Not made up. I massaged sources. Let's say. Let's say massaged.
Hey, speaking of college, I threw this at Joe earlier today on Twitter because he had made a crack about his multimedia degree, but I had a degree in computer information systems, and it fits in with the Terminator Genisys stuff too, because when I graduated in college in '96, we found out I was working in the same job I'm in now. I just started there right as Y2K hit, and I was working with my best friend who
we got to change all the 9s to 0s.
No, we found out that the professor that taught us all of our computer knowledge was one of those people that he quit his job at the college we were at, packed up his family, and headed out to the mountains for Y2K because he thought for sure it was all going to burn.
That's delicious.
Yes.
I love that.
That makes me confident in my knowledge base.
Fucking Y2K, man.
Didn't work out.
You know, I was pretty sure nothing would happen, but if it did, I was real drunk, so I figured at least I was having a good time. John.
Oh, Lord. Yes.
It's time, buddy. Please bring us the word of the day. Give it to me good, buddy.
Yeah, I really thought you just wanted to hear about my college experience.
That's all I ever want to hear about.
Today's word is Genisys. Spelled appropriately.
How's it spelled, John?
Genesis.
By the way, someone might want to check my video game thing because I am 100% positive I spelled it wrong on the site and YouTube.
I fixed it on the site.
Thanks, buddy.
I fixed it.
Who would have guessed the Y? Who would have guessed the Y was at the end?
I'm pretty sure I did. I should now double check that.
It's GINYNYSYS.
See, it's sci-fi. See, Siffy.
Yeah. So Genesis, it really only has one definition: the origin or mode of formation of something. And you know, surprisingly, not that much here for origin. It comes from the Greek.
Well, it's pretty old, right? The Book of Genesis.
Yeah, I think that name was probably added. You know, they who the hell knows? But they at least give the date of the word Genesis as early 17th century. So,
all right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, true story. If you Google search the word Genesis, the #1 result is Genesis the band's page on Wikipedia.
Of course. What else would it be?
That surprised me. I don't know.
Their GeoCities fan site.
That would actually be way better.
There's great moments on the internet when you search for one thing and you find another thing. Like around the holidays, every now and then, I'll forget that the website for Dick's Sporting Goods is not Dicks.com.
Right.
Oh, come on.
Right. I just like every once in a while when I remember that Bucky's power plant exists, and then I go visit it, and it makes me happy.
Oh, I can't believe that's still real.
# Bucky for life. Well, now it exists on one of those GeoCities sites that has cached everything. So it still has like broken links to web rings and like crazy shit.
Oh my god!
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I am sure we talked about this if you've listened to all episode of Bloody Good Horror, but
we probably talked about it on the first episode.
So John, if you recall on Halloween 4, there's a scene in which Michael Myers confronts a Valiant power company worker whose name, according to his shirt or his helmet, is Bucky.
Okay.
And he throws him into the power grid of the town and takes out the power to the whole town. At some point in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I became aware that somebody had made a GeoCities site dedicated to Bucky and his bravery. And it was all about Bucky. It's called Bucky's Power Plant. If you Google it, you can find it. And it's amazing. You got to check it out. Complete with like terrible 90s animated GIFs of him being thrown into the power thing. It's so good. All right, John.
Terminator
Genisys. This is like, I'm pretty excited about this show. I'm feeling pretty good in general, but also this is like one of my favorite shows where I love a really dumb movie and you hate it.
Well,
and I have no real
on.
grounds to defend it, but I just really enjoy. I always enjoy these shows. So
I thought you were just getting excited about the prospect of John having to synopsize this because I'm pretty sure
John, you act as if like any of our regular listeners could not have guessed that you were not going to like this movie.
Yeah, all right, fair point. Interesting side note here, because I actually went to do some research on the IMDb page. There are 412 plot keywords for this movie. I think that's the most I've ever seen.
We should mention, too, as we were discovered before the show, that our old friend of the show, Patrick Lussier, was one of the writers on this movie.
We're going to have to get into that.
Is he not of My Bloody Valentine 3D fame?
Yeah, and Drive Angry.
Oh, that movie is pretty good.
Yeah, Street 2.
Drive Angry was pretty good. I have a Drive.
I'm gonna side
Listen,
with Eric on
I still
Drive
have a
Angry.
Drive Angry keychain that I immediately went and bought off of eBay after I saw that movie because I liked it so much.
Was Lewis on that episode?
Yes.
I seem to remember him like really hating. Was it Amber Heard?
There was some weird.
He was like not okay with her.
Yeah.
It went to some dark places.
Yeah, we went there.
So the other writer on this, and then I will actually talk about the plot synopsis here. The other writer, it's Patrick Lussier, and then someone named Leda Kalogridis.
Right.
So okay. I think it's a woman, actually. Unclear.
That sounds like a lady name.
No, it is. It's a woman. Previous screenwriting credit was 5 years ago for a little film called Shutter Island.
Oh. All right, John, let's do it. Dive in here.
Oh, God.
Give me the deep dive on Terminator Genisys.
So, Genisys isn't just a clever pun. I don't know what you want to call it in the title. This movie actually sort of does go back to the genesis of the Terminator franchise, where we open with John Connor fighting alongside his buddy Kyle Reese in
future
the future
times. Yep.
Yeah,
like
it's
Terminator,
20...
like think the opening monologue of Terminator the original, but played out fully.
It's 2029. Is that the year? It's something
2020
like that.
Something, yeah.
All right, so 2020 something. They are fighting and they are arriving at the sort of final battle with Skynet, the human resistances. They have this sort of dual plan where they're gonna go shut down Skynet, like sort of main base, where the mainframe. I don't know, Casey, is that what we call it? The mainframe?
Sure.
Okay. They're gonna go shut down that mainframe, and at the same time, they have to attack this one particular weapon that John Connor keeps telling them about. That is, we learn, the time travel device, because they're trying to prevent the first Terminator from going back in time to stop, the whole Terminator franchise from happening. They fail at doing that, even though they do win the war. And so we then see John Connor send Kyle Reese back. So it's essentially the beginning of the first Terminator.
So what? Yeah, I had just watched the original Terminator because Netflix had it kind of prominent on their site on Friday morning that I had off.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, no, literally, I was like too lazy to even make breakfast, and I sat in front of the TV and I was like, oh, I could watch Terminator. But like the first 30 seconds of Terminator, which is all like a voiceover with some shots, is the first 20 minutes of this movie. They literally play out everything that was hinted at in the first part of Terminator. Like in the original Terminator, they just kind of say, yeah, and they went back in time too. In this, you see the long drawn out debate of like, should we go back in time? What should we do when we go back in time? Let's get naked and hug now because that's not weird.
They're in this like future time. It's probably like, it felt like 20 minutes. Maybe it's a little shorter.
I did think they did a really good job in that part of like nailing the 80s future. Like they hit the aesthetic from that first movie. You know what I mean?
Do you think they were trying to make it seem like
yes,
the future
because if you go back to the last movie, they did like a prequel thing where they didn't quite do it well.
Well, it's you're talking Terminator Salvation,
like too
right?
glossy, yeah.
The McG directed 2009 Terminator.
Yeah. No, they especially if you had just watched the first movie, they actually nail so many neat little visual nods in this movie that
All
were
right,
very.
Let's save it for the discussion, shall we?
Don't take that tone with me, Schnars.
So let me at least try to get through some of the plot here because this is where it gets a little silly. So Kyle Reese, played by Jai Courtney, goes back in time. He is
Shirane.
Yeah, all he knows is that he has to find Sarah Connor and protect her because because John Connor was told by his mom that that's what endless loops, time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle. Oh man, how did I not pull that soundbite for the show? God damn it.
Here we are.
Where you guys dropped the ball.
So Kyle Reese goes back in time. He immediately is attacked by a T-1000. So the style from the second Terminator
CGI
movie.
Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no. Okay, you're talking. Who is that guy?
It's I don't know what the actor's name is. Byun Hung Lee.
Okay.
He's
kind of awesome, I thought.
Okay. We'll come back to him too.
Come on.
I mean, all right.
You didn't think he was good? I liked him.
I mean, I just he doesn't speak. I don't know what sort of
Yeah, he's a fucking Terminator.
Okay, he was a fine Terminator.
He terminated.
Right. He definitely there was some good.
He had fucking shiny spiky arms.
He had trouble dealing with, a 20-year-old woman and a guy who had literally just arrived from the future. So okay, he's fighting this T-1000 in 1984. Emilia Clarke, playing Sarah Connor, of Game of Thrones fame, we should mention.
Dragon boobs.
She pounds into the T-1000 with a Mack truck or a armored car, picks up Kyle Reese and is like, get in the back. Okay, he gets in the back. She also, it turns out, has Arnold with her playing the cute, silly named Pops.
Wait, was this before or after? Didn't before this happen, we see the two of them take out like an old school Arnie Terminator 2?
Yes, that's true.
Like all these...
Because it's when they had the whole redone young Arnie.
All this shit just happens rapid fire in the first act.
Yeah, so he basically he's not even old Arnold at this point. He's still like we'll get back to that, but like this is Arnold kind of looking like the Terminator.
And she has named him Pops.
Yeah, and he is fighting the very young version of himself from the original 1984 version. And I think that's the exact same scene where he shows up and then he runs into the like punk street toughs who are going to try and fight him, and he takes their clothes. But instead of that happening, he now has to fight this Arnold who is living in 1984 with Sarah Connor.
You already lost me, and I saw the fucking movie.
I know, right? So they pick up Kyle Reese, and now they're all sort of trying to escape the T-1000. And then after they dispatch of the T-1000, they have this whole convoluted plan. It's actually kind of smart because we know how they got rid of him in T2 by throwing him into the molten metal. Here they use acid and just kind of like fuck him up real chemistry style.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good. They then sort of launch into the like real plan, which is somehow Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Guardian Pops, has. Oh, so we learned
he's a scientist in this one apparently.
Yeah. Well, we learned that he had been sent back even earlier,
she was 7 years old.
Yeah, she was like 7 or 9 or something, and he saves her from another Terminator that was trying to attack her at that point.
And we are not told, spoiler alert, at any point in the movie who, and it's like teased, but we're never told who sent him back originally. And the fact that he now in this timeline has been sent back to basically the 70s is what has changed the entire timeline.
Yeah,
part of what's changed the entire timeline.
He's been living Sarah Connor's parents were killed in this time, like in the 70s when they went back to kill.
So she's basically grown up her whole life knowing about Skynet and Terminator and all that stuff.
And with Pops as her dad.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not basically.
I would have a Terminator dad. It's pretty sweet.
In her life.
I think it's also important to point out, though. I was going to say it's also important to point out that at this point in John relating the plot synopsis to us, we're still only like 25 minutes into the movie.
Well, maybe we're like 45 at this point, but
I was just going to say that Terminator Dad is a great idea for a TV show.
Spinoff. Bam.
I mean, they did Sarah Connor Chronicles. They could do
Terminator. Have any of us watched that
He's
show?
a dad. He's a Terminator.
I watched it a little bit.
Casey watched it. Okay.
All right. So let me keep going here because
Sorry.
Just let's accelerate it because I'd like to actually talk about the movie.
All right. So then it's revealed that Pops and Sarah Connor have been building a time machine in 1984.
By the way, spoiler alert, because we're now getting into like the plot of the movie.
But this all happens still. We're in the first half of the movie.
So it's half, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. And so then they have this debate because Kyle Reese is like, okay, we really need to use this time machine to go to 2017. He knows
because he has a hunch that is going to be where the new birth of Skynet is.
Well, he's having time dreams.
Yeah, he's having
yes.
time dreams because we didn't even mention this, but right before he got sent back in time, in the beginning of the film, he sees, as he's literally being transported through time, he sees John Connor be attacked by Skynet,
by some kind of machine.
Yeah, by Matt Smith, who he was just in something we just saw. I'm not gonna remember now. He was in Dark Lost River.
No, he's saying we just watched something with him.
Yeah, we just watched Lost River for Sophistical, and he was one of the main characters in that. In any event, so we see Matt Smith attack John Connor. This has altered the timeline.
So they're already like worried that something is going to fuck everything up.
Yeah, so Sarah Connor is like, we're going to go to 1997 because that in the original timeline is when Skynet goes live, and she's like, we're going to stop it. Kyle Reese is trying to convince her that no, we actually have to go to 2017, and it's important because they can only go once. This is like a one-shot deal.
Right, they've basically like cobbled together a time machine, and it's going to like take out the whole power grid of Los Angeles when they use it, so they can only do it once.
Yeah, so
that's kind of from the first movie. Like you can kind of only go one way.
Well, and I think the bigger issue is that they have a computer chip that they took from the T-800 that they killed in the very beginning, and that computer chip's going to get destroyed, and like you needed one of those to run the time machine.
Right.
That's at least what they said. Does that make logical sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay. All right. So let's stop there for now.
Okay.
And go around here, Mark.
Yeah.
Terminate me.
Sure. So I will be the first person to admit that I have seen the first and second Terminator films, but I am by no means anyone who you should ever ask any factual thing about those movies in order to, don't bring me to trivia night if there are Terminator questions, because I just do not know the answers. So with that in mind, I didn't mind this movie. It is colossally stupid. Like it is so dumb, but Eric already mentioned this already. I do appreciate the attention to detail, like when they went back to the 80s, and it was a little ham-fisted in, dropping the kind of one-liners and, making the constant references about having to be like naked when you're time traveling, and like those things to someone who takes this franchise very seriously are actually, it might run the gamut between like, oh, haha, that's cool, and really off-putting.
My challenge to them would be go watch T2, because T2 is an awesome movie that is super silly.
For me, this is like an illustration in a 9-year-old's notebook of like just how, it basically is about that coherent. That being said, I can see why it didn't hit the, for better or for worse, I'm going to compare every movie I see this summer to Mad Max, especially,
everyone's going to lose to that.
Well, right. Yeah. But like, if you're talking about, just pure success and output, like this movie flopped, and we can talk about it. And I think that there are a lot of reasons why it flopped. But in the moment, it was reasonably fun, even though I realized that it was terrible.
They really missed out on, like I said before, having You Could Be Mine in this movie, at least in the trailer. I feel like that would have got some butts in the seat there. Come on.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Could be. Casey.
I, too, watched the original one on Friday because I saw it conveniently on Netflix and was quite pleased with it. I used to love the original, the first two Terminators. I saw the first one in the theater when it first came out. I was really stoked for it. I was pretty excited for this one, but then I had lost my taste for it after like Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation.
Was there any reference in this movie to 3? Because I've never seen 3.
To be honest with you, I've only seen 3 once, and I don't remember much
Yeah.
of it except for it had Christina Loken, so I don't know if there was any references or not. I don't think there was.
I was waiting for like random Lady Terminator to show up. I think they should have just gone full hog with that.
So I'm not surprised to say that when I got into this movie, the way that they've laid out this movie, I love the first half of this movie because they've done so much to redo the 1984 version of the film. So I got really into that because they had a lot of the same shots, a lot of the same scenes. They had the same hobo when Kyle Reese landed and all that stuff, and it was cool. But then once we got to the second half, things got really stupid, really convoluted, and it was... I gotta say the action was kind of boring for me in the second half of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So,
John, go ahead, John.
I mean,
Let it all out,
don't
buddy.
even know where to start unloading because there's the further I get away. So I will agree insofar as some parts of this movie were fun when you were sitting in the movie theater. The problem is there's maybe 3 parts like that, and the rest of the movie was just atrocious. And this is a movie over 2 hours long. Let's keep in mind.
It is 2 hours, yeah. With a lot of exposition crammed into it as it is.
Ton of exposition. Well, I really didn't realize until I started talking about it. Most people who listen to the show realize I don't do a lot of preparation for my synopses. But you can't talk about what's happening in this movie without it. It's like you need 2 paragraphs just to summarize the basic action. But no, I think to Casey's point, the reason that this just really ultimately is a failure is the action is really, really poor. If you know, Eric, you mentioned go watch Terminator 2.
I just
Terminator
mean, no,
2
the action in Terminator 2 is unparalleled. You have that argument. I'm talking about the silliness factor because Terminator 2 is a silly movie.
Yeah.
Like, go listen to anything Edward Furlong says in literally the entire movie.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's Edward Furlong, dude.
Right, but my argument would be that that's part of its 90ness and 90s-ness and part of its charm.
Yeah.
And so,
sure.
you know,
But
like this
that's
movie's
also...
goofy and it's in a lot of ways, I think. I'm just saying it's not like the only movie
that's also nostalgic.
There's
charm.
even goofy shit in the first one too.
Yeah. Well, James Cameron knows how to do that. Like, he knows how to make a funny, like, tongue-in-cheek-ish sci-fi action movie. You know, I think a lot of that kind of humor too, like I said, is some of it's nostalgic. I just don't understand. Like, this movie won't age well because they're trying to bake in nostalgia from the outset. And
yeah, that's fair.
It's just going to be weird. Now,
like, what would somebody... I think that somebody who had never seen the other Terminators would be totally fucking lost in this because the one plot point that is never even explained is the fact that Kyle Reese is John Connor's dad. You know that because you've seen Terminator.
Well, they talk about it.
They sort of talk about it, but they don't talk about... Honestly, if you go back, I know you're never going to watch this again, but literally, they start talking about it as if it's something we all know. And at first, I was just going along with it, like, yeah, of course. But then I'm like, wait, they never really set that up as to like.
This is where my particular lack of expertise comes into play. I did not know that. I mean, I did not.
And it's key to the whole thing.
They did. For someone who did not inherently know that, they do kind of telegraph it enough. Like, what could the surprise possibly be?
Yeah,
so even if you don't remember,
a lot of, it's like you didn't tell him yet. No, I didn't tell him. Maybe you should tell him.
You know what? I did like the mating jokes from Arnie. I thought that was pretty funny.
All right. Well, that's another point I want to
come on, Schnars. Give me one thing.
I was gonna ask. Did any of you guys? I mean, have you seen Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines?
I have not.
So I saw it in the movie theater.
This made me want to. I don't know why.
Well, I reviewed it. I remember it reviewing it for my college newspaper, which is one of the reasons I've seen it.
The Dookie.
It's bad. It's definitely bad. I'm not gonna like try to tell you it's good. The only thing I will say is there's at least a couple action sequences in that movie that I remember. Maybe I just remember because whatever, I was fucking 19 years old and thought it was pretty sweet. But this movie has, like, there's not a single action sequence in this movie that I'm ever gonna want to revisit.
It's a little too, I will say the action for me is like a little too Michael Bay-ish in the sense of just like hard to wrap your head around what's happening and very over the top in a way that's like a little off-putting. If you go back to T2, what makes that so cool is it's just like a lot of really intense stunt work and wire work and like wire foo shit, and it's all very grounded in reality in a lot of ways. I think like probably the biggest mistake this movie makes, because I'll get to like my thoughts in a second. I can actually forgive a lot of the plot bullshit because I had fun with it. But to me, the biggest mistake that this movie makes is over-the-top action that is so unbelievable it takes you out of the movie. And the one scene, which they literally were trying to sell the movie on in the trailer, is Arnold jumping out of the fucking helicopter as a missile. Yeah. I honestly think that scene in that trailer is probably responsible for more people not seeing this movie than almost anything else. Because it is so fucking cheesy, especially out of context in the trailer. Well, you're just like, what am I even watching?
We got to get through your opinions on this too, Eric, but we need to talk about the fuck up with this trailer too. It's big.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's what the director thinks it is, but I do think the trailer was not good.
The one thing that I will ask as it pertains to the action, can anyone explain to me how the school bus flips over?
Right.
The drive shaft into the ground. Is
that whole scene. Yeah, he takes like, he
pulls something down, but it literally
and he pushes it down into the think pole vaulter.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Because it's the drive shaft and it's longer because
I'm actually
it makes no sense.
I'm more confused about how it perfectly hung off the edge of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I will agree with that.
There's not a single action sequence, and I mean, action sequences in general, like trying to find the reality in them, is sort of a dangerous enterprise because you're pretty much always going to break them down. But there is just some goofy shit in this movie.
It's good, yeah. Like, the action was not amazing,
and maybe not in a good way, right? Yeah, and like a.
So this is what I liked about this movie. I actually like this movie more coming out of it. Maybe I'm just kind of forgiving more as I walk away. The plot is ridiculous, but the plot is my favorite thing about this movie, because at this point you got to kind of go back to what happened with the rights to this franchise. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like it was sold off from the studio in like some kind of fire sale, like bankruptcy situation, and was literally owned by a bank for a while. And the last movie basically was one of those
notable filmmakers.
Well, the last movie was born out of one of those things like we have to make a movie type of situations.
Oh, or they like lose the rights.
So this movie really has a feel to me like, all right, I'm not positive. It looked like, is it Paramount or no? Yeah, Paramount doesn't even exist.
Paramount.
Do they exist? It's New Line that doesn't really exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so like Paramount's back on board. They did make it with this weird like production company that I've never heard of, which is kind of weird. But like
Skydance, I'm pretty sure has done other stuff.
Okay, but
they're like a pretty legit company.
It has all of the kind of like earmarks to me of, all right, let's try to get this thing reined in. This is a property that should be making money. Let's get Arnold Schwarzenegger back. Let's get back to the basics of Terminator, which is what? Machines go back in time to kill humans. Humans fight machines, blah, blah, blah. Arnold Schwarzenegger punches himself in the past. So what they do with the script, and the script is a mess, and it feels like a script. The site IMDb claims is written by 2 people. I honestly can't believe that's true because it feels like a tinkered with script. Okay, but here's what I love about it. It takes the concept of Terminator and cranks it up to the most absurd level possible, which by this point, the problem with each of these movies is that every time this story happens, it creates at least one time paradox. More like 1,000, right? Like even T2, which is awesome, like when you really kind of think about it, it makes no fucking sense. The fact that Kyle Reese is John Connor's dad makes no sense, because then you get into like time is a flat circle shit and like So what this movie does is it does a deep dive on that whole it wraps the whole movie around that concept, and there's kind of these great monologues that I liked. They're cheesy, I know, but I enjoyed these monologues about how the 3 of them, and I think this is a thing that evil John Connor brings up at some point, which I guess I can say. That was in the trailer. It was in the trailer, which is what we'll get to that.
Spoiler alert.
But evil John Connor at one point basically looks at Kyle Reese and looks at Sarah Connor. They're fighting each other, and he's like, look, it doesn't matter what we do. And he says it more evilly than this, but we are slaves to our own fate. The 3 of us are tied in this fate of time where Skynet is inevitable. It doesn't matter what you do. Humans will develop Skynet. Skynet will take over. It will try to kill humans. There will be a war. Humans will win. Machines will go back in time, and it will all start over again.
And Skynet is a flat circle.
And
12-year-old Eric Newell's jaw hit the floor.
No, I'm sorry, dude. I really like that idea though, and they actually do a decent job of threading that throughout the movie because it keeps coming up. And then also they just like in every other movie, the time travel is kind of an afterthought. Like the movie opens and naked dude falls out of the sky, and that's the extent of the discussion of time travel. But in this one, it's like you're going backwards, you're going forwards, you're talking about the past and the future past. Like it's so absurd, but it makes sense at this point that this is played out so many times. I loved that. I loved the absurdity of it. I really did, and like, I can't apologize. I'm not going to apologize for it.
You know what's funny? If you think about it, though, there is a conversation in this movie that takes place in the 80s, and they're arguing about whether to go to 2017 or I think 2007.
97.
1997.
1997. And it's so like hilariously inconsequential how all of it is. They could have been arguing about going to like 12 different years and it wouldn't fucking matter.
No, hold on. Why did they travel to 3 days before the launch of fucking Skynet? Why not go, I don't know, 10 days before? Then you've got more time.
Why not go 2 years ahead of time and kill the dude that programmed?
Wait. I'm gonna blow all your minds. Why wouldn't the machines go to when Sarah Connor was? Well, okay, never mind. They did.
No,
kid.
But like,
when she was a kid.
Why not go back to when her parents were kids?
Right,
like,
kill her parents, kill her grandparents when they were getting off the boat from like Ireland or whatever.
Just kill all the cavemen.
Kill all the Irish, just wipe them out.
No, well, the thing about Skynet is they can't go back far enough that they would impact the development of Skynet.
Whoa, that's deep. Nice.
Yeah, right?
This is why this movie is fucking genius. But none of the time travel makes any sense. So
Eric, I have a fun movie for you sometime. It's called Time Cop.
The time travel thing
is amazing.
Before we go more into like I guess this
because I want to swing into the third act a little bit.
And I just want to bring up there's an article on Grantland about how this movie just fucking flopped, just totally straight out flopped.
I'm kind of surprised that like people just don't, even if it's bad, want to see Terminator. That's surprising.
We have some questions in Ask BGH that we can kind of talk about it more, like its value as a property and kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger's value as a box office draw. But one of the things that the Grantland article brought up, which I thought was a really good point, is that once you introduce this crazy level of time travel, the movie becomes completely inconsequential.
Right.
Like when you set the precedent that you don't
everything
give
can be
a
erased
shit about any and again, not to go back to Mad Max, but like what made Mad Max good was that it kind of just it expounded on like something that already existed. It didn't go back and change too much history. It just existed. And in this, it's like it was.
Dude, I thought you were gonna say what made Mad Max good is there wasn't any time travel.
Yeah, that too. That helped. But like with this, it's like in introducing this time travel aspect, they allowed themselves to do whatever the fuck they want, but then also felt compelled to tie it back to what happened before. And
you know what?
Like,
this movie
why not go one way or the other
and
commit to it?
It explained, and this was another, and I wonder if Casey noticed this too, crazy contrast between the original and this one is, and I don't know if it says it more about, it probably just says more about modern movie audiences, but everything is way over explained in this movie. You watch the first Terminator, the movie opens and they're like, yo, robots are bad, humans went back in time, bam, Arnold's naked, he falls out of the sky. Well, this movie, they spend so much time explaining every little plot intricacy, and not only that, but you could tell it was self-conscious about explaining people's motivations, but you just did, the original had none of that. And like, yeah, right, if you're gonna go so insane, like why even bother explaining it?
Did they explain why all the robots still look like old ass 80s robots? Because I need an explanation.
Well, because that's the style though. It's like Star Wars.
I know, I'm not. I mean, it was a joke.
Damn it, Mark.
But like Mark's Grantland article that he brings up is perfect because you start time travel movies are so hard to make so that they're enjoyable because it's the great mulligan. So like with the Grantlands talking about, you don't have to worry about anything because you know as soon as the good guys get close to winning, the bad guys get close to losing, somebody's going to pop out from the future and fuck it up for them.
Well, no, this is I mean the more general point here about if you think about any time travel movie that is good or works, it's always small movies. So a movie like Primer, which
Yeah.
I think we've probably talked about on the show. Even there's a movie you guys, we all saw it, the movie called Triangle. That's not really a time travel movie, but has
That
a
movie
lot of
is
the same
incredible.
elements. Yeah, these are all movies about one person, two people, very small. And in the same way, the original Terminator was really a small movie. It was like, hey, there's a hitman that traveled back in time. Hey, the human sent another guy. Don't
It's
worry
basically a
about all
cheap
the
little horror
nonsense.
movie.
Well, exactly. And the difference here, and this is the point that the Grantland writer was making, is that as soon as it gets big enough to involve history and the world and like all this other shit, you're right. Now the stakes are so high that you have time travel as an out. When you're an individual, like when you're talking about a movie called like Primer, it's really like two people, and like when they're fucking up, they're kind of just like fucking up their own lives. But when you make it small and consequential for them, the drama is there. Here, there's no drama because you're like, fuck it, like they're just gonna travel back in time again later, you know. So
Well, it's more
It's
simple
like
than
it
that
has
because-
all of the consequence of a Disney ride, right? Like, you know, you're going to be
Yeah.
okay at the end, so you're never really worried about it.
That has its
Exactly.
merits sometimes.
I mean, that's why the original one worked though, because they brought the guys back. They brought Arnold back, they brought Kyle Reese back, and they said they couldn't bring any more people back. So then all you're dealing with is the ramifications of what they're going to change going forward. But in this one, they've established that pretty much anybody can travel back in time whenever they want them to, because now they've got a couple of these machines, and they've established that Pops has gone all the way back to when Sarah Connor was in the 70s as a kid, and they've got people jumping around back and forth. So there's no weight to them changing the future because it's always going to be changing.
yeah.
All right, so
Always be changing.
ABC. So third act, they decide to go to 2017, and we're getting into like heavy spoiler here. You're not going to get it anyway, but be aware, spoilers. Okay.
We still are not getting it.
He
so.
convinces Sarah Connor to go to 2017. They go to 2017. When they're there, they find that John Connor is there. After they're arrested and brought to a hospital, John Connor is there. And within a span of 10 minutes, they find out he's evil. It's pretty quick, which again was in the trailers. And
Yeah, that was so dumb.
basically,
you
so
knew
when
he had to be evil, I actually
Well,
didn't see the trailer, so I'm kind of interested in.
he
what
is
was
so
bad about
fucking
it.
evil looking.
Well, it's hilarious because when he shows up at the hospital, you're like,
It's like,
why
hi.
the fuck would he? Why would he be here?
Yeah.
Like, what is
Yeah.
he doing here?
And
He's
you've already
clearly a bad guy.
All right, so this is what happened. If you go back a few months, the original trailers didn't even show John Connor at all. And then about a month ago, a theatrical trailer came out that ran through this whole subplot and showing him evil and fighting and everything. And the director in pre-movie interviews has been talking about how he fought the studio to keep that secret back. I actually, before I saw the movie, I thought, yeah, that is kind of a bummer. When I saw the movie, it's so fucking obvious. I don't think that matters. I think the trailer has way bigger issues with it in general. I don't think it... I've seen shittier movies be sold to me with better trailers. Like, there's no reason the trailer should have been that bad.
Yeah, but it was still a big problem for me because, I mean, yes, it was terribly obvious, but, I mean, you could at least go into it if you didn't know he was going to show up. You could at least go into it, it's like, oh, shit, they've done something to him because he's obviously evil.
I think they
Because
really fucked the casting up, honestly. Like, he looks like an evil wizard.
But they also showed they also showed in the trailers that they made a whole new Terminator for him.
Right.
And
And
so-
that is a reveal, even if you know he's kind of evil.
Dude, can we just like spend a couple minutes to talk about fucked up Uncanny Valley old Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It was
or young
amazing.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I guess. Like,
Oh, yeah, that shit was cool.
It
what
creeps
the
me out a little bit,
actual
though, right?
Fuck with that. That's so weird.
I did notice too, the less he moved, the more convincing it was. Like when they showed him running, I could kind of see the seams, but when you're just looking at him breathing, I was like, that's
You know
effed
what's
up.
weird? In like a weird way, when he was running, it reminded me of the old Mortal Kombat games where like the characters were actually
The
made of
rotoscoped?
photo stills. Yeah, like photo stills of these people.
It's neat technology.
It's cool. Like, do you think they were really, because they definitely pretty like went hard on it in the trailer. Do you think they were hoping that would sell people or that people would be interested in seeing that? Like, it
pretty
stands
neat.
out as like a really strange decision for
Well,
a
I
movie.
think it's just for the spectacle. Like, holy shit, how did they do young Arnold? I don't think that was the entire draw, but I think it was definitely to get people. To
But
say,
it's part of the
"Holy
whole
shit."
mashup aspect of the first
The
act too.
close-up
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah, it really was on kind of awesome.
I mean, and they made the right decision to make it like a small part of the movie.
Yeah.
I had kind of expected it to be a much
The
larger
first
part.
trailer made it
Yeah.
seem like that was the movie, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
So
a good decision.
we got to keep going here. So we're in 2017. John Connor's there. We find out he has gone to 2017 and basically got in with this technology company and started developing. So Kyle Reese was right. The timeline has changed. Judgment Day has not happened yet, but he is now working with this tech company who thinks he's just a genius who knows shit magically, to build not only the time machine, but also that's like their secret project, but their real project they're working on is this operating system called Genisys that is basically for phones, computers, tablets, everything. And they're going to launch it in 3 days. And when they do it, it's going to essentially connect the whole world on the same operating system, which, like, you know, you could just do that now with like Apple.
Yeah, well, including the Defense Department.
And the Defense
which is
Department.
hilarious.
Basically, this is going to be the beginning of Skynet. I was a little unclear as if, like, Judgment Day was supposed to happen right away, or if that was just the first domino leading to Judgment Day.
I mean, Judgment Day, at least in the original sort of mythos of Terminator, is just when the bombs fall. So,
Can we just say how awesome, though, like, not this, like, Judgment Day as a name of a thing is fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I want to
definitely
state
the
that
first,
for the record.
you know, like,
Pretty sure
they
that's
name-
from the Bible, right?
Yeah.
They name sequels for action movies so shittily now, you really can't get better
T2
than
Judgment Day.
It's like every, you know, it's like Genesis.
The
or
day you're going to be
Requiem, or-
judged.
Like now they're just running out of correctly spelled words, so they have to just.
So what it becomes is I also like this part where Arnie couldn't go back in the time machine because he had his arm melted off, and you have to be encased in living flesh or the time machine will destroy you. So he's like, I'll take the long way, basically. I will hang out for...
Terminator science.
Well, they're in 84, right? So he's going to hang out for like,
Yeah.
what is that?
It was
30-something years?
Yeah, 33
So
years.
when they get to present day, he's there and he's old now. He's like gray hair, whatever. And he has been preparing for them. He's got this bunker. He's got weapons and all this shit. They meet up with
and
him.
working construction.
They need to, right, and working construction at the facility so that he can learn the ins and outs. Like, that's
Hold on,
smart, man.
Can we talk about a couple things related to their bunker?
Very,
Because-
very quickly.
Amazing. First of all, this bunker is such a popular destination that it has several school buses full of children hanging around it. Yet he has somehow gotten access to it and filled it with guns.
No keys.
They then
Dude, the kids-
destroy
the
the
kids
bunker.
Filled
the
it with guns.
They destroy the bunker 10 seconds into getting into it. Like, literally
Oh, yeah.
10 seconds later. Because John Connor somehow knows where they are and
Listen,
walks
John-
right into the place.
John, nanomachines.
And they've
Oh,
also
yeah,
got
oh,
an entire
God.
armory of weapons that they never even touch. They just get melted.
I did
Well,
like,
'cause
I
they
did
had the
like,
one gun that burned all the other guns.
I did like the nanomachine effect. I will say that. That was kind of cool.
It-
So,
Can we-
okay.
Wait, sorry. One more.
God damn it,
Can we
Mark.
talk about how criminally underutilized J.K. Simmons was in this movie?
Yeah.
Ugh.
it is-
I thought at first that J.K. Simmons was going to be a bizarro version of the Doctor. Until, like, that was the one thing I was missing. I wanted to see the Doctor in this movie, but as a believer for
Dude,
whatever reason.
So just to be clear, his trajectory is a homeless person, right?
What?
Wasn't he the homeless
No.
guy? in
No.
the
He was the
80s?
cop.
he
Oh,
was
he was the cop.
No, he was the cop that they save his life in the department store.
Mark was so confused.
I thought it was the homeless guy from the 80s.
Well, no,
But he didn't have pants.
no, he is pretty good, and I like his
He
lines
said
in
my
this.
hair was longer. The
Dude,
homeless guy
but
had
listen,
long hair.
he sums up the whole script though when he goes to Sarah Connor in the hospital surveillance room after everything's blown up, and he's like, "Look, I really want to believe you," because he's in it. Like, he saw the Terminators in 1984, so he spent his whole life like researching this, and he's convinced this is happening now. So, and he happens to be there. It's so fucking complicated. But he goes to Sarah Connor. He's like, "Look, I want to help you out. I'm pretty sure I'm on your side. I just need you. I know this is complicated. I just need you to explain it." And she's like, "We're trying to save the world." And he goes, "Okay, I can get down with that." And I was like, There you go. That summed up the whole movie right there. All this bullshit doesn't matter because it's just silly. It's just a fucking action movie. We're saving the
Say
world.
that the whole basis of the movie is come with me if you want to live.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So the plan is they have to get to the building before this operating system launches to blow the building up to destroy the operating system because apparently in 2017, nobody has offsite backups. Nobody has the cloud. Look, it's 2015 now. We have the cloud. The cloud is here.
Also,
and everybody's still on that got their nose in mobile devices.
John owns the cloud.
Like they do now. So
every single billboard is also a countdown to Genisys.
So that is like pretty ridiculous.
Was hilarious. The scene when they pull back from the city and there's just these live countdown Genisys billboards everywhere.
And it's unclear like why once John Connor figures out that's their plan, why wouldn't you just release it into the wild early? But then they kind of try to like write that out by saying that it's not ready yet. It's still like developing, but that it doesn't make it.
I mean, listen, no, as a developer, that makes sense. You work on shit right until it goes live.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I say though, I did like that they personified Skynet.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a neat idea.
He should have been a bigger part of the movie.
Sure.
That gave me kind of BioShocky vibes because that's like a thing that
you could have replaced a lot of the John Connor bullshit with Skynet.
You could replace all of it. If they would have had Skynet come back and trying to save his own ass, I could have bought into it a lot more than I could with this.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
And just for the other fans out there, I will say though that because Skynet's played by Matt Smith, who is the Doctor Who, and I know that I'm the only one that got the weird vibes with this, but but when Kyle Reese gets sent back in time, you see Matt Smith standing down there, so there's that whole little nerd moment of, oh no, the Doctor's watching him go back in time. So sorry, I had to get that out.
Push up your glasses.
So we also haven't talked about Emilia Clarke a lot, which bless her soul, she is not good in this movie.
Wow.
I think that she is lovely, but she was wooden as hell.
She's not great. Movie. She's not great at what she's asked to do a lot, which is like these quippy, funny, warm moments. So to kind of use a phrase that Mark has coined for me, I'm not gonna pick a hill to die on with this movie, but I will die for Emilia Clarke. I just want you to know that.
I think you in the email. I think you mentioned that you had kind of gotten to Jessica Alba level.
Yeah,
with her
she's Alba asks to me now. Like I want to give her dragon babies, and
you will take a liquid Terminator sword stabbing for her.
You know what it is? It's like she is basically the like. You know, in Avatar, they design those things to like specifically elicit emotion from people by giving them enormous eyes. Her eyes are like the size of milk saucers.
I thought you were going to talk about an Ex Machina where they design a robot to sync up with your porn history.
No, like she looks like that episode of South Park where they save the veal cows and they have the big eyes. That's what she looks like.
The giant eyes.
Adorable.
Yeah.
I don't know. So honestly, I like her in this anyway, even though she's bad, and there's no logic to that. I'm sorry. Well, I'm just a human being, Schnars.
We've probably no. Listen,
I'm not a robot.
You're a man. You don't have to defend yourself to me. But I don't think she's great on Game of Thrones. I think she's serviceable.
You shut your whore mouth.
And this like put her even more into the spotlight, and it didn't go super.
Where were the goddamn dragons?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Kyle Reese?
I thought he was actually fine. He and
he's not given a lot of great material to work with.
No, but I'm trying to think. He's been in a bunch of other random shit.
Square jaw, stone face.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be in Suicide Squad.
Like, look, he's to me. It's just a lot of eye candy in this movie, male and female, both sides.
Like Arnold carries this fucking movie.
He really does.
Yeah, he does.
The only, I mean, you know, with good reason.
And he's not really doing shit.
No,
he's got these like one-liner idiot
and his smile.
Yeah, not even jokes. It's the throwback one-liners and that stupid fucking smile.
Classic.
The smile was good. I'll give you the smile.
And it worked. I'd say it worked 90% of the time. Honestly, like why not just make the whole movie that? Because it's the only thing you've got. You know, if the action kind of sucks, and the rest of the acting's terrible. Just
No,
let
I-
Arnold be ridiculous.
I think that has to be the direction this goes, is what Eric said, or whoever was talking about the, Arnie Knows Best sitcom version of this.
No lie, I could talk about this movie for another hour, but we do have to wrap it up here. It's worth saying that, and another spoiler alert. So they win, but they're now in 2017. We meet like child Kyle Reese at some point, because he exists on two different timelines now. Because well, I don't know why he did, but she is the reason why he knew to go to 2017, right?
No, well, so
wait, what?
She tells the baby Kyle or the kid Kyle Reese the thing about like go straight and blah blah blah, and
right. That's how she knows in the beginning to trust him to go to 2017.
Exactly, but he is the one who tells himself that Genisys is Skynet, and like make sure you remember that, and that's what he sees in the alternate timeline. I guess my question is like
maybe they're just trying to advance the future, like make it so they better this time.
I don't know why when I was time traveling, I found out that Finkel is Einhorn.
Although in the year that they're in, Genisys has already come and gone and is a thing of the, I hate to say past, but it doesn't really matter. Genisys is not a thing anymore.
Like,
okay,
I don't know why they had to go seek him out.
Well, but they do make a point over and over in the movie of saying that these things are just inevitable and they're going to keep happening. So,
but then Genisys is, well, whatever.
Anyway, but the bigger point about the end of the movie is that basically, happy ending, they literally ride off into the sunset, the three of them, and there's a voiceover about, well, we didn't learn everything, including the one thing you want to know the whole movie, which is who sent Arnie back to when she was 7. But we'll figure it out as we go, and they're riding the sunset, and like they were trying to set this up for a franchise, like in new movies. I don't think are going to happen. It's kind of a bummer. I would like to see them.
The bigger mystery, I think we can all agree, is why a gigantic public tech company didn't have some alternate data center to back up any of this work.
Well, they went with
the core of their business.
They went with the ultimate throwback, which is just everything fucking exploding, completely ignoring the reality that everything is so different now. You know, like it would be scattered among millions to billions of computers.
Like in T2, when the plan is like the plan with T2 is to explode physical things. Yeah. Like they need to get rid of the Terminator parts.
Because it was 1997.
Not to mention the fact that in today's technology that we have right now, he would be Skynet would have matured quicker too, because they use distributed computing.
But I think everything we already brought it up.
I don't know what that means.
Go back to a time other than 3 days before this launches, and you can kind of nip that in the bud a little bit. Like kill a person who's gonna.
Well, why didn't Arnie like plant a bomb inside of the building when he was building it?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's should have thought.
Or why didn't Arnie go buy the land that they were gonna build the company on? Fuck you! I get it first.
All right, that's it. We're done. Terminator Genisys.
The war will be decided by land debates.
We're done. Would you recommend this, Mark?
Yeah, I made like by accident on TV.
Casey.
Cable.
John.
No.
You know what? This movie is dumb as shit, and I love it, and I am not going to apologize, Schnars.
I wouldn't ask it.
That's it for Terminator Genisys. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
They come from another time. A machine wrapped in flesh. A soldier from a distant war. Both after a woman who holds the key to the future. One wants to kill her. The other must protect her.
I'm here to help you. You've been targeted for termination.
The Terminator. Your future is in his hands. The Terminator. Rated R. The #1 movie in the USA is now playing everywhere.
Hi, this is Dana Roebuck from Everything You've Ever Seen on Television, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. I feel pretty good about the discussion, John. I feel like you and me came out unscathed there.
To be fair, I'm not drinking, so I'm behaving myself a little more than I might have. So,
Mark.
Yeah.
Movie guide, quick, then I'll do fan mail.
This is actually pretty short. So Terminator, as all of the mainstream movies we review, has an entry on our favorite website, movieguide.org, which is a website for you Christian-leaning folk that are worried about whether or not your children should be watching these movies, and you need a website to tell you whether or not that's okay. And it gives you a pretty detailed rundown that we like to read. So Terminator Genisys features a strong moral worldview with some themes of self-sacrifice to save other, at least 27 obscenities and profanities, including an F word, several GDs, and a reference to Jesus. Constant action violence includes android robots throw humans around, robots murder humans, fighting, robots are stabbed, sliced, impaled, and robots keep coming back for more. Flesh peels off robots during some attacks. Numerous gun battles where humans blast holes into android robots made of liquid metal, but robots quickly regenerate to looking normal and human. And numerous car crashes, explosions, and reckless driving. References to mating between unmarried young couple. And nude people must embrace to use time travel mechanism. Upper and rear male nudity, implied nudity, and woman in bra. Alcohol use, no smoking or drugs. Deception by evil Terminators trying to trick people into thinking they're safe, and man expresses his desire for a beer when the world is safe.
Really occurred to me in this movie, like, at least until he becomes like a robot, John Connor is Jesus, and I guess I always kind of knew that on some level, but man, they really like brought it home for me in this one.
Jesus,
dude, his initials are JC.
Oh, good God.
Fuck.
I'm surprised they didn't get upset about that.
If you remove most of the letters from Genesis and add a couple more, you get Jesus.
Right. Just, yeah. Okay.
The guys from Movie Guide are going to be listening to this episode now after hearing Eric say that, going, oh my goodness, how did we miss that?
Mind blown. First up, info@bloodygoodhorror.com. This is Brian from North Carolina. For Eric's information, we do use French words down here in the dirty. We have pie a la mode, aperitifs, usually Jack with a bud backer, cocktail weenie hors d'oeuvres, and women keep their guns in armoires instead of cabinets. We used to have other French words, but now they're called freedom fries, freedom kisses, and freedom ticklers.
Freedom kisses.
Where were we?
I feel like freedom kisses are sloppier than French kisses.
When we were out in Ohio, like literally it's only 3 years ago for our little like horror like fan meetup.
Oh,
we went to like this diner, and they still had like the menu said freedom fries and shit, and I was like, this can't.
The diner in at HH Windy has that as well.
It was 2012. Really?
Was it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this was like a couple years ago.
The Blueberry Waffle House, I believe.
Yeah, I have a picture of the menu.
It's ridiculous.
I could probably find it on
All
my
right.
phone.
Also, around here they say that Georgia is the asshole of the U.S. because it's the last place that Yankee shit flows through to get to Florida. No offense, Cece. I love that a lot.
Yeah.
And I will say though, Atlanta has a nice fucking airport. Was there a couple weeks ago?
No, incorrect. It's a disaster.
Okay, moving on. He says, I would totally attend a convention just to meet you guys. Brian, P.S. The Rolling Stones are awesome and could totally beat Brock. Hell, Keith Richards has proven time and again that he can't be killed.
Agree.
I don't even want to think about Brock Lesnar versus Keith Richards. It just sounds...
Next up,
Keith Richards gets a car door though.
I believe this is Matt. All right, next up, Mad for Muff. Can I just say I would happily listen just to a podcast of Joe doing random quotes of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think Joe is a hidden talent there that you need to exploit. Eric, is it
hidden?
Eric, as a fellow slow reader, I feel your pain, bro. But when you said you had read 2 books at college, I don't think Playboy counts. LOL.
Hey-o.
Anyway, that's enough of that shit. On the last podcast, you mentioned binge watching stuff on Netflix. Even though I love binge watching, there's a problem that I find watching an entire series in the space of a few days, there isn't time to really enjoy the big moments, the amazing revelations, and the story arcs, etc., because you're straight on to the next part. 1 episode a week works great as everyone can enjoy the buzz and talk about what happened. Imagine if the Red Wedding on Game of Thrones was just in a bulk watch. I can, because that's how I watched it. There just wouldn't have been the amazing internet frenzy we had. Plus, we'd all have been watching at different times, blah, blah, blah. Finally, would you rather be attacked by a Brock Lesnar-sized duck or a dozen duck-sized Brock Lesnars? Keep up the good work, guys and gals. Matt Formoff.
Oh, man. You know what? Like the Brock Lesnar things, I would say they're starting to get old, but every time I feel that someone comes through with something that I'm just not ready for.
I agree and disagree with him on what he's saying about binge watching. He's totally right in that, like, I think you have to try to show a little bit of discipline to, like, when you see a red wedding, you got to step away and be like, all right, I'm going to drink that in.
Well, that's why I haven't finished Breaking Bad, because like I tried to binge watch the first 2 seasons.
It's pretty depressing.
Yeah.
That's what my wife and I did.
I made it like 2.5 seasons in, and I was like really starting to question my life.
And it just keeps getting darker. It doesn't get better.
Well, and I just never went back, right? Because I like burnt myself out.
It's so good. You have to. But
I mean, I will probably.
So
at some point.
You know, but I am. So this season of Game of Thrones was the first one I watched like in real time, and now I see, like, if I had seen the Red Wedding and then had to wait a whole summer, a whole year to see it again, that would be that's pretty rough. But right now, True Detective is proving to me why I hate watching shows when other people are watching them, because I cannot stand fucking having to like defend myself to everybody why I'm still watching the show and why I like it. Like the internet is being such a douche about True Detective, I can't even handle it.
Don't even get me started.
It's pulpy and silly and fun, and like I love Colin Farrell's mustache. Like,
yeah, it's awesome.
But whatever,
so good.
But like people,
and I don't understand what people don't like about it.
People have the right to not like it, but my point is, what I love about waiting 2 years and binge watching is I don't have to fucking deal with any of that.
Yeah, I just really, the whole thing with True Detective, like I think people, I don't know if they just got their like priorities or their expectations all out of whack. Like, it's been fantastic.
I'm sort of enjoying it now, as my new idea is that this is actually a parody of the first season, and it mostly comes from Vince Vaughn. Like, Vince Vaughn is so hilariously sullen all the time.
I mean, it's full on sequel, right? It's just like everything. It's like they removed a lot of the subtlety and are just kind of just going for it.
I actually think Rachel McAdams is really good.
Yeah, I think she's good. No, I love all the acting. I don't think the first one was that subtle, really. It jumped around in time, and that.
Look, the first one is saved by the fact that it had two like incredible actors.
Yeah,
and it was such a unique thing. You know what I mean?
I actually am really enjoying Vince Vaughn now that we're just off on a tangent here.
I enjoy him because I like him, but I think he's the weakest in that ensemble.
But I think for the character that he's playing, it's his like weird shtick, and even the like expectation that you have of him. Almost like that scene in this most recent episode where he's like confronting all the like pimps and like gang leaders.
He
and
unleashed
stuff.
the dragon.
Dude, it was fantastic because you're kind of like, I don't know, he actually might just get his ass beat here, and you know it goes another way, and you're kind of like, okay, all right, he's a sick man.
So I think Mr. Muff here makes some really good points about
Senor Muff, if you will.
Binge watching TV, and it's something like we all have to make that decision for ourselves. And I'm only watching True Detective and Game of Thrones real time because I don't want the spoilers. Like I actually am actively avoiding the like day after armchair quarterbacking stuff because it just sucks. It sucks. It sucks all the fun out of watching TV. Like I watch TV for an escape.
Well, so I like it with Game of Thrones because at this point, like, I've like given up on Game of Thrones.
I like the book comparisons.
The books. Well, I just like because at this point, like whatever they're talking about in the show recaps, the book is not doing that, or they divergent enough that it doesn't even matter.
I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure that the end of that season just spoiled a bunch of stuff that's going to happen in the books. That's my theory.
No, that they basically end where the books end. Like,
well, but there were like two. I'm not going to say it. There were two specific things at the end of the last few episodes that had not happened in the book yet.
Oh yeah. No, there were some
that I think probably will.
I thought you meant the last episode.
I don't think this is humanly possible, but I'd really love to read all the books before the next season so I could read the new one, because they say the new book's coming out this year sometime. Or at least. Well, no, listen. He's up against the wall now, though. That book, not necessarily 2015. But that book has to come out before the next season starts, or there will be fucking anarchy.
Yeah, and you know where you're going to see him this week instead of at home writing a book, waddling around San Diego Comic-Con.
Have you ever heard that guy talk? He is delightful to listen to. He's such a delightful little nerd dwarf, and he's just the best.
He's great when he's like on the Nerdist and stuff.
He's just like, well, you see, the Starks of Winterfell I've lived there for centuries.
You realize that you guys were having that conversation earlier in the show.
No, I really love him. He's amazing. All right. One more, guys. Chris. Thanks for another great episode. The Maggie one. For me, zombies have become a lot like bacon. Humans ate bacon for a long, long time, and during that time, bacon was good. Then, sometime during the 2000s, someone decided bacon wasn't just good, it was the greatest thing ever, and they started putting it in everything. But just because bacon is tasty doesn't mean that bacon-flavored breakfast cereals and Mountain Dew Code Bacon are products that should exist.
Wait, does Code Bacon actually exist?
No.
Probably in Japan.
Sangria Mountain Dew does.
In the same way, zombies have jumped Lucio Fulci's proverbial shark. Sure, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead, all great movies, but what's next? Zombie sitcoms and zombie cop dramas? Chris from West Virginia. P.S. Arnold should have had a clause in his contract that James Cameron would direct him in all of his films. He's the only director who has been able to get decent performances out of him. Even when he was playing a cyborg, he was more human than in most of his other movies. Man, I think if James Cameron wasn't like all on the Avatar tip, he totally should have directed this.
Is he making other Avatar movies?
Oh, buddy. The next one's underwater.
When is it supposed to come out?
He's been making it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I can't even fucking remember when
Mark's like,
Avatar
yeah,
came
I
out.
remember when the first one came out, and here we are.
All
no,
right.
you know what? Commando is a sweet Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, not directed by James Cameron. I'm just going to throw that out there. But otherwise,
Also,
he's right. Good
Twins?
No.
Pretty good.
I'm going to go with no.
Pretty good.
If I may submit to the council.
Hold on. And Total Recall, also not directed by James Cameron.
True.
Paul Verhoeven. So,
all right. info@bloodygoodhorror.com's email address. Mark, bring it home for us on Twitter @BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH.
All right, we're a little late this week, so we're probably just going to burn right through this. First one, RJNC. Ghoulies 3. Guys, Eric BGH is the best.
No.
Still trolling. I just can't figure out what his game is.
Yeah, you picked this in your butt here the last.
He, of course, mentions that because we think, as long as it's still on Netflix, our August spectacular will be Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College.
Right.
And that, of course, is where you live stream along with us and watch the movie with us in real time on YouTube.
Do I need to start watching the other Ghoulies movies as preparation for Ghoulies?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I think it'll actually be better if you don't.
You already went to college, so you've got that part down.
Yeah. Good. All right. This is going to work out.
Actually, there's a lot of frat and
participated
sorority
in,
stuff, John. You'll be all over this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Panty raids abound. The next one's from RJNC. He's just saying that he's never seen a Confederate flag in Maine before.
It's actually more New Hampshire. But I have seen them in Maine. New Hampshire is crazy. It's a weird place.
Can't you like run through the entirety of New Hampshire in like 20 minutes?
What?
I mean, like,
no, New Hampshire's
like
a big ass
pretty,
state.
Pretty.
Or am I
fast
thinking of
runner,
Delaware? I'm just thinking
Delaware.
Thinking of Delaware.
Like when you're driving south, you pass Delaware for like 15 minutes. And
Yeah,
you're out of
classic
it.
me. Always thinking of Delaware. All right, next one, Phillies Femme. Let the record show I thought Maggie was mildly interesting at best. Also, I don't know YouTube stars. Hashtag the more you know.
You know, Cutie Pie.
Yeah, what?
Made $7 million.
Yeah,
Do you not
fuck
know?
up.
You know PewDiePie, Mark?
I only do because Casey mentions it
right?
occasionally. Right. Casey, I know that sometimes you get bummed out because you're so much older than all of us, but just know that through your daughter, you're actually probably younger than all of us because you know about things that are actually happening now.
Yeah, I'm coming to realize that.
No, it's awesome, man. Hey, look, we need to figure this shit out somehow.
I am still trying to figure out
How is
Twitch-
BGH going to stay relevant into the next century?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how Twitch streamers make so much goddamn money.
I know.
It must be people can give you tips, right? They donate or whatever.
Oh, they can donate.
It
It
is on
definitely
Twitch.
is. It's like people, you know, you can donate to like post in the like, you know, give you the ability to post certain emojis in the chat and shit, like just things that people.
I actually use Twitch a bunch, like when games come out that I can't buy because I'm poor. Like when MKX came out, for like 3 days straight, I just watched Twitch streams of people playing it.
If you ever want to see someone be confused, try explaining the concept of Twitch to someone who doesn't like video games.
Oh my god,
because
yeah.
They're like, wait.
Or anyone over the age of like 35.
Why wouldn't you just play it instead of watching?
Because I have to do work.
See, that goes back to the Terminator Genisys, the whole Genisys operating system thing. It's 2017.
It's 2 years from now. I guarantee you, my parents aren't going to be rushing out to download the Genesis operating system on their mobile phones and shit. They're still using prepaid flip phones and a fucking Windows XP.
Oh my god! Every time iOS updates, I have to talk my parents off the ledge.
No, well, and Eric was joking about like Apple, like you know, being that operating system. I mean, Apple's market share is like what 30%. I actually don't know, but. Casey's right.
And they're not going to get everybody with Genesis either, because there's going to be those one guys pushing the glasses up on their nose saying my Android operating system is far superior.
Well, they do have the out of like, oh, it's 2017. Who knows what happens in the next year and a half?
Sure. Wow, yeah. You know, it's funny that 2017...
It sounds futury. It's not.
I did have that moment where I was like, man, that's really far away. And then I was like, nope, that's...
Somebody was talking about 2005 today, and I was like, that's like a different universe.
Yeah. That was a decade ago, bro.
Oh, God.
Think about that shit for a second.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been talking about this with Mark, but I've been experiencing hardcore time dilation lately. It's really fucking weird, man. I assume it gets
old, brother.
I assume it gets worse when you have kids, but it's bizarre. Like the weeks just go by, and then the weekends are gone, then the next week is gone. It's like life is a flat circle, and time.
That definitely happens when you have kids. It's just you're awake through that entire week,
right? Right. You stop.
All right. Next one is from. It looks like it was retweeted by Alan Murch, but it's originally from Bloody Vengeance. It says, a good question, good versus question for BG Horror in the Ask BGH section. And it's a picture of Wolverine fighting Freddy.
Nice.
Come on.
Adamantium Rage.
Yeah. I've also dropped both my phone and my keys during this episode. So if anyone's wondering who's
I can't imagine why you would need either of those things in your hand while you're recording the show.
No. Well, yeah. You never know when you're going to need your keys.
Okay, Mom.
You doing a scratch-off ticket? Got to do my scratchers.
Got to get out of here somehow. All right.
Moving on up.
Next one is from Lowly Ant. And I'm pretty sure that he sent this 2 weeks ago and I refused to read it. And now I'm just giving up. So that's setting a precedent.
Great.
Who would win, Brock Lesnar versus Candyman versus 28 Days Later Zombie Chris Benoit?
Oh, that's fucked up.
I defer to Mark.
Fucking Brock Lesnar all day, every day.
He threw a car door at a person.
Ripped a goddamn car door off.
He did a real-life Street Fighter bonus stage, and he won.
He threw a car door 20 feet into a crowd of people.
I really forgot about that bonus stage.
Man, I wish
you just beat the shit out of the car, and you gotta jump over and beat the shit out of the other side before the time runs out.
And sometimes you gotta like dodge barrels that are coming at you and shit.
Yeah. Like Zangief was the best at that. I'm pretty sure.
And I wish we could find a way to get affiliate money for selling WWE Network subscriptions. But Brock Lesnar is having his first match, his second match since WrestleMania on Sunday, and it's gonna be awesome. He's gonna murder somebody.
I would totally be down for doing the second Street Fighter or the Street Fighter movie for Spooktacular.
Oh man.
Oh God.
I have two memories of that movie.
I have it on DVD and VHS.
We saw it in theaters as a family one Christmas, and I have two memories.
Also, I know all the words to the soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Ice Cube. Yeah.
Ice Cube has the most racist song ever.
It is.
It's like every Asian racist thing he could be saying in one 3-minute song.
We Are at War is the name of the song, I think.
And he's just making like
just say that over and over again.
It's horrible.
Oh no, it's just called Street Fighter. But yeah, that fucking soundtrack is ridiculous. But I have two memories.
Something about taking a piss in your Chinese food or something. It's a whole thing.
One was having to pee so bad that I almost started crying, and the other one was immediately afterwards. Convincing one of my parents to buy me the Green Jello CD, even though it had a parental advisory and I was like 10 years old.
Big Bad Wolf or whatever, right?
Yeah, and the Misadventures of Shit Man. Another good one.
Where are we? Go ahead, move on.
Man, kids, and that's another outdated reference, parental advisory stickers.
Yeah, or Green Jello.
Yeah, that too.
Little pig, little pig.
Not by the hair. That was a great fucking video, though, man. Back when they were
so good.
back when we had real videos,
Claymation and shit.
not these Twitches.
Oh my god.
Twitchers.
Okay. Two more. One is from DC979. With all of Arnold's movies tanking since the 90s, is he a relic of the 80s or simply poor film choices?
But
He's had some good stuff on. I mean, he's had some not good stuff like he had in the '80s in his comeback here recently. He's had some decent stuff. What was it? Sabotage was his cop movie. That was all right.
I like the streak where he just was making the same movies that he would have been making in the mid '90s. That's like I kind of like that.
Do you guys feel like
him and Stallone.
Expendables? Do you feel like the Expendables like soaked up all of the '80s action movie goodwill that people
Juju.
had?
Yeah.
Yes, it's done.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of those.
I saw both 1 and 2 in the theater, and I couldn't bring myself to watch 3. It just like
I haven't seen
I actually enjoyed 3 more than 2. It was
Really?
It's still dumb, but it was fun dumb. Eric can side with me.
I do have to say that like what the last 2 movies really taught me is that I kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger again, and I want to see him just do a bunch of dumb stuff so I can watch it.
All right, Mark. I think you skipped one here. Yancey Street. Yancey_Street.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it, so go for it.
Have you guys considered doing Late Phases, a werewolf horror movie starring Ethan Embry?
That's
It's really quite good.
That's another one we just last week somebody brought that up.
Yeah, I think we've got it on our list for show.
Cool.
It is on the list. I've watched it. It is pretty good. And Ethan Embry is still dreamy.
There you go. Okay. Last
John.
one.
I got 2. I got at least there's actually 3 more, Mark.
I have something
Kidding?
more. I have something more important. John, did you ever find out what happened to Jared from Subway today?
Oh, absolutely not, dude.
Are you kidding?
I
I fucking love you so much.
Oh, no.
I completely forgot that something
Really
even
burying
happened.
the lead here. This
So
is
I'm
a
at
good
work today, and I mean, everybody by the time they hear this will know. I mean, they know. I just I like telling you things for the first time, and I work in news. I'm monitoring my news, and this thing comes across and says, FBI raiding Jared from Subway's home, and I'm like, I will click that, and so I click it, and the rumor is that it's a child porn investigation.
No.
Now, apparently, a dude who worked for his foundation was arrested on child porn charges a couple of years ago, and he claimed.
This year.
Oh, was it? Okay, so he claimed he didn't know about it, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you why this didn't surprise me, John, because I knew a guy who knew a guy who went to college with him, and this has been, I actually found the story on the web, so it's been confirmed. Or it's been at least corroborated that it's a story out there in the ether. That the rumor was that in college, he had this massive porn collection that he would rent out to everybody on campus for $1 a movie per day. And
Smart business.
he lived above a Subway, and he was so lazy he wouldn't go out for food, but they would deliver to him, and that's the only reason why he started eating Subway.
That is the unofficial Subway story.
So Gawker actually reposted the story today, and I was like, okay, I knew I actually had heard that somewhere. That obviously is not the official investigation part, but he's he's kind of a creeper. Not that there's a jump between that and like child porn, but still.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy.
I will say that I am sort of I think I'm kind of reaching my breaking point with social media and people making the same bad jokes. Like I read so many eat fresh jokes today that I was just like,
Oh,
are you really the first person that made that joke?
That's pretty good though. It's pretty good.
I mean, it's good. When it's as good as that can be.
Just no good.
Oh God, I'm reading all the details about what this guy who worked for him was in trouble for. It's no good.
Dude, a kid I went to high school with got picked up for child porn. It was in the local newspaper. My mom sends it to me. She's like, "Hey, remember
Listen,
this guy?"
That sounds
I
like
was
something a mom would do.
Jesus.
Yeah, my mom scans the obituaries just to have something to talk about with people. Oh, did you hear who
Dude,
died?
I don't think I want to read this.
Thanks for
article.
sending that link over Skype. Now there's an article called "What We Know About Child Porn" in my Skype history.
Yeah, really.
Thanks, bruh.
That's the most exciting thing about the whole Jared story, though, is this all took place 30 miles from me. I didn't get to see the FBI cars
In
or
good old Indiana.
We've also just said child porn a dozen times on this call, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna get shut down anytime now.
Now
If
they
Skynet
wouldn't
is
listen.
real,
If they were actually trafficking that, they wouldn't say that.
we'd have a code name for it.
They'd be like, "Did you have those hockey tickets?" Yes,
All right,
I'm
let's
very
stop
excited
talking
about
hockey
the
tickets
big game.
immediately.
I've been hoarding hockey tickets for years. Okay. Next one is from Dybach Miller. Why can't they make a good Terminator movie?
I think that has been asked and answered in this podcast.
I
think so.
Objection asked and answered.
I think they have.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I can't even back that up.
Waka waka waka. Yeah, I just like I don't know. It's not the right kind of nostalgia.
Listen,
I guess, at
you
this
can't
point.
give it to some fucking like hump ass director who did a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. You got to give it to like a fucking action movie director.
Is that what this guy did? I didn't.
Yeah,
even do that
he's
research.
actually done it. It's a ton of HBO stuff in general.
Okay.
Seems to
All right.
be his pedigree. It was all season 2 looked like Game of Thrones.
Do you think Amelia Clark was like signed up and she was like, "You better bring in Ellen Taylor or I'm walking"?
Oh, I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
Or maybe he brought her in.
Yeah, there you go. They're bros.
Next one is from Raynart53. Have you heard of the game Terradrome? It's horror movie villains in a fighting game.
Yeah, it's
yes,
fucking
we have.
sweet. So, listen, I don't know if you're aware of this, but that game's been around for like 10 years.
Yeah,
Because I remember sitting in our kitchen on our
No,
old...
it is 150% not licensed.
It's all unlicensed. They give it away for free. It's got like all the characters. It's like really well made, and it's not balanced super well, but the animations are awesome. It's all that old school rotoscoping kind of stuff, like and like figures. It's so fucking cool. Backgrounds are cool. It's called
I've never played it.
Terradrome. You can just search and download it for free.
Yeah. Also, we live in a world where Jason and Predator are in Mortal Kombat X, and they both look pretty awesome.
They did a really good job at that integrating.
Really
that
good job
stuff,
with those, yeah. Okay, last one is from our good friend Charlie Gonzalez. Would the whole crew have bought an actual Terminator Sega Genesis console when they had they made them available for purchase?
Yes,
of course.
God, seriously though,
I would have just made fun of Eric for doing
like, how do you fucking include I understand that it's intentionally misspelled. It's like branded, but God, it still drives me nuts.
It's misspelled in the oddest way.
Yeah. For sure.
I should mention real quick, if you go to youtube.com/BGH video, I did get in a Let's Play for this movie. I played the Terminator and Terminator 2 for the Sega Genesis. Both just really fucking weird, bad games. I don't know if you watched it, John.
I did watch. Yeah, I watched it, and the T2 game I had never played. I'd played the first game. You were talking too about the arcade game, which I played a shitload of.
And that came out on Genesis. I don't know if it came on Super Nintendo, but
it
they
was
both
like a shooter though.
You
needed like a gun.
Yeah, so in the game, literally in the console, you're just moving the D-pad around, which is like a shitty way to play those games.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But yeah, it's worth. You should check it out. These games are fucking weird.
Someone left a comment in the on the YouTube clip that was like explaining to you what you were supposed to be doing in that first episode or the first level of T2.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I try to do a little bit of research beforehand, but I was so like, it was such a weird weekend. I had no time, but I'm like, man, I'm like, literally a Terminator movie is never coming out again. I have to do this now. So I admittedly did kind of rush into it, but I actually think that kind of makes it funnier because then I just have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you have a shitload of life. It looked like in that.
Well, I kept getting life every like of the billion Terminators I killed.
Yeah, and you still made it like halfway through the first board. Oh Christ!
Did you say the first board?
Yeah.
What are you, 100? Made it through the first Pong board.
How many guys did you have?
Yeah, I had 20 guys.
You died and you lost a guy?
I lost all my mans.
I actually do not understand what's wrong about saying guys. You guys go ahead.
I had to beat the board, but I lost all my guys.
Yeah.
God, we are fucking old, man.
Yeah.
What happened?
Here
What
we are.
happened?
All
That's
right.
it for Twitter. That's all we got.
Love
Eric's
it.
gone. We lost Eric.
I love it. I love
He's off the deep end for sure.
every part
He's
of that.
reading this Jared from Subway.
Yeah, he's going back into the Jared details.
Going deep.
Oh my god.
Would you say he's going a foot deep?
All right. BloodyGoodHorror.com. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where you can check out our plethora of delightful
God, it's
reviewers.
the fucking best, guys. BloodyGoodHorror.com.
BloodyGoodHorror.com. YouTube.com/BGH video. You can get all of our social links at BloodyGoodHorror.com too. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can check out our new shirt store there. You can get back episodes of the show. And we got a Spooktacular coming up in August. Exciting summer things happening here at Bloody Good Horror.
It's all coming together.
Next week we are doing what?
The Gallows.
The Gallows, okay, which is that new found footagey thing that's coming out.
Nice.
All 80 minutes of it.
Yes. So
we might be thankful for that. You never know.
you got that to look forward to. Anything else you want to mention here quick? CC's Book Club at reddit.com/r/BGH.
There you go.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
That's it.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion about the amazing movie, Terminator Genisys. We'll talk to you next week.
Adios.
See yous.
Bye-bye.